Psalm 78. 78:1 Give ear, O my people, to my law, incline your ears to the words of my mouth. 78:2 I will open my mouth in a parable, I will utter dark sayings of old. 78:3 Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. 78:4 We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord, and his strength, and his wonderful works that he hath done. 78:5 For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children. 78:6 That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. 78:7 That they might set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. 78:8 And might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. 78:9 The children of Ephraim, being armed, and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. 78:10 They kept not the covenant of God, and refused to walk in his law. 78:11 And forgat his works, and his wonders that he had shewed them. 78:12 Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. 78:13 He divided the sea, and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as an heap. 78:14 In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. 78:15 He clave the rocks in the wilderness, and gave them drink as out of the great depths. 78:16 He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused waters to run down like rivers. 78:17 And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. 78:18 And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. 78:19 Yet they spake against God, they said, Can God furnish a table in the wilderness? 78:20 Behold, he smote the rock, that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? 78:21 Therefore the Lord heard this, and was wroth, so a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel. 78:22 Because they believed not in God, and trusted not in his salvation. 78:23 Though he had commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven. 78:24 And had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. 78:25 Man did eat angels' food, he sent them meat to the full. 78:26 He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. 78:27 He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. 78:28 And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. 78:29 So they did eat, and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. 78:30 They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths. 78:31 The wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. 78:32 For all this they sinned still, and believed not for his wondrous works. 78:33 Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. 78:34 When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after God. 78:35 And they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God, their Redeemer. 78:36 Nevertheless they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues. 78:37 For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. 78:38 But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity, and destroyed them not, yet many a time turned he his anger away, and did not stir up all his wrath. 78:39 For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away, and cometh not again. 78:40 How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness, and grieve him in the desert. 78:41 Yet they turned back and tempted God, and limited the Holy One of Israel. 78:42 They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy. 78:43 How he had wrought his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zoan. 78:44 And had turned their rivers into blood, and their floods, that they could not drink. 78:45 He sent divers sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. 78:46 He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. 78:47 He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. 78:48 He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. 78:49 He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. 78:50 He made a way to his anger, he spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence. 78:51 And smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength in the tabernacles of Ham. 78:52 But made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. 78:53 And he led them on safely, so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. 78:54 And he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to this mountain, which his right hand had purchased. 78:55 He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them an inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. 78:56 Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, and kept not his testimonies. 78:57 But turned back, and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers, they were turned aside like a deceitful bow. 78:58 For they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. 78:59 When God heard this, he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Israel. 78:60 So that he forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent which he placed among men. 78:61 And delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hand. 78:62 He gave his people over also unto the sword, and was wroth with his inheritance. 78:63 The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage. 78:64 Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentation. 78:65 Then the Lord awaked as one out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouteth by reason of wine. 78:66 And he smote his enemies in the hinder parts, he put them to a perpetual reproach. 78:67 Moreover he refused the tabernacle of Joseph, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim. 78:68 But chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion which he loved. 78:69 And he built his sanctuary like high palaces, like the earth, which he hath established forever. 78:70 He chose David also his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds 78:71 From following the ewes great with young he brought him to feed Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance. 78:72 So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart, and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands.